So you're going to hear from mainstream news people and bought-off economists like Paul Krugman, who's embarrassing himself by coming out against Bernie Sanders' FDR New Deal type economics. So Robert Reich, if you want to hear a nonpartisan view of Bernie's economics, listen to Robert Reich. He tells you everything. But here's another guy. So Robert Reich, we all know him for being a great economist, but maybe he's a little too lefty. You know, he's too lefty. So let's get a righty. Who would be a righty guy? I don't know if you remember in the 80s, Michael Douglas did a movie called Wall Street. And it was all about the greed of Wall Street and all that it showed the underbelly of greed in America. And that's where the phrase greed is good comes from, right? That movie Wall Street. His character's name was Gordon Gecko. And that character was based on a real Wall Street guy. His name was Ashter Edelman. Ashter Edelman was known for buying companies, selling them, extracting wealth out of them, turning them over, not really making anything except a lot of money as he crushed a lot of companies and stuff. So it was that era. And so they based that character on him. So this guy's a real shark, right-wing Wall Street fucking, he's a shark, right? Here he was on CNBC's Fast Money. And even a guy like that can't help but tell the truth on CNBC. At CNBC, just a swarm of bullshit, a never-ending cesspool of right-wing bullshit, economic talking points, nothing but fucking talking points fed to them by Wall Street and heads of corporations, and they report it as news. And then you wonder why there was an economic meltdown while there was a channel called CNBC and nobody fucking saw it coming. Yet people still think these guys know what they're talking about. And they don't. Here comes a guy, Gordon Gecko, the real Ashter Edelman, and they ask him, hey, who do you think would be the best for president economically? Here's the guy, Mr. Insider Wall Street guy, the ultimate, and here's what he says. Watch him blow his mind.
Let's move on to the presidential elections. I'm curious, we're asking everybody essentially who you think the best candidate for the economy would be.
Bernie Sanders.
You see this guy? Watch this guy. This guy's freaking out a little bit. He's like, he's this. So Gordon Gecko is blowing that guy's mind right now. Bernie Sanders, huh? What? You mean the New Deal? And let's remember what the New Deal was. The New Deal was we put money in the pockets of working people, and then they spend it, and that's what boosts our economy, as opposed to putting money in the pockets of rich people, which is what Reagan's done, and then they put it in the bank or an offshore tax haven somewhere, which hurts our economy. So watch, he's going to say, who would you vote?
Let's move on to the presidential elections. I'm curious, we're asking everybody essentially who you think the best candidate for the economy would be.
Bernie Sanders.
Without a doubt. Why is...
Huh? What? That goes against all the bullshit that we say 24 hours a day. That goes against all the bullshit we've ever said. That goes against all the bullshit we're going to say as soon as you leave. What the F? This guy, huh? You mean the only thing that there's evidence actually works in our economy, the New Deal? You mean that thing? We should do that? Wait a minute. Shouldn't we do some more 30 years of supply side trickle down economics that we know have created our economy and created the biggest income disparities since the Gilded Age? Shouldn't we keep doing? That's what that's what fucking that was. And I'm going to show it to you again. That's what that was.
Let's move on to the presidential elections. I'm curious, we're asking everybody essentially who you think the best candidate for the economy would be.
Bernie Sanders.
Without a doubt. Why is that?
No question. Well, I think it's quite simple again. If you look at something called velocity of money, you guys know what that is, I presume. That means how much gets spent and turns around. When you have the top 1% getting money, they spend 5-10% of what they earn. When you have the lower end of the economy getting money, they spend 100 or 110% of what they earn. As you've had a transfer of wealth to the top and a transfer of income to the top, you have a shrinking consumer base, basically, and you have a shrinking velocity of money. Mm-hmm. Bernie is the only person out there who I think is talking at all about both fiscal stimulation and banking rules that will get the banks to begin to generate lending again as opposed to speculation. So from an economic point of view, it's straightforward.
From an economic point of view, it's straightforward. Like, there's no question. What's wrong with our economy? By the way, we all know that's what drives me crazy. We all know what's wrong with our economy. Right? We have too much of the wealth of our economy concentrated in a few hands. And those people don't spend that money, right? They put it in investments. They put it in their bank. They put it under their mattress. They put it in offshore tax havens. Just like that TED Talk that they banned from that millionaire who said, I only buy a few cars a year. I only buy a few pairs of jeans. But 10,000 people can buy 10,000 cars. And so that's how you slow down the economy. You put a lot of wealth into just a few hands. And that's why the estate tax is so important. So you don't get to pass on your $1 trillion to your kids, right? We take half of that and we put it back in the economy, and your kids live wealthy anyway. Except we get to have a healthy economy, and your kids get to have a healthy life too. So it's not one or the other. It's not a false choice. So this guy's saying that, and that's what drives me nuts. We all know this. We all know that we had a great economy, and the banking sector was very boring from FDR's New Deal up until Ronald Reagan, ironically. And then ever since Ronald Reagan, whose idea was trickle-down economics, which is you take money from everyone, working people, you give it to rich people, and then they will spend so much, money will trickle down. Even the sound of that, doesn't it sound trickle? Sir, please, sir, may I have a trickle of your wealth? Please, sir. Here's another stat. Since 1980, productivity has gone up 73% in America. Guess how much wages have gone up? You would think, productivity has gone up 73%. I'm sure that productivity is connected to wages. So when workers produce more in the same time period, that their wage will go up. Doesn't. During a time of 73% productivity increase, 9% wage growth for workers in America. You tell me who's the parasite. You tell me who's parasiting, who's benefiting off the labor of someone else. It's the owner class in America that is a parasite off the workers. Gordon Gecko just told you that. Ashter Edelman, the Gordon Gecko of Wall Street, just told you that, just blew their fucking minds on CNBC because he told you something anybody could have told you, something that my grandmother could have told you, a shoe shine guy could have told you in 1950, that the New Deal works, that you put money into the pockets of working people, and that stimulates the economy. And the reason why we're living in this crazy economy we're living in is because corporations keep making more and more money, and they're not giving it to their workers, the workers who buy stuff.